Here we go.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Drop Third Strike. This is our end of the season episode. We're going to try to recap the MLB season and look forward to these wild playoffs, which is like even the end of the season just can't be easy. With myself, Terry Gant in Chicago, and my podcast partner, Beth Stopka in Denver, Colorado.
Hello, Terry. Welcome to Denver virtually. Welcome to game 162 day. And I think this is probably this isn't episode 162 of Drop Third Strike, but it's probably like 42 or 43 or something like that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's probably something like that.
Yeah, it's something like that. So hello, Legion of Fan. This is an exciting day. And since this is the podcast for people who don't want to watch baseball, but are sufficiently interested in it to want to know something about it, you've come to the right place because we're going to talk about kilts.
Yeah.
So Terry, what's the story behind wearing a kilt?
Well, so I'm famously in many circles here in Chicago, I guess, known for disliking pants.
Uh-huh.
I don't wear pants. So I try to go as long as possible without wearing any form of pants. Well, without wearing actual pants. In the winter, I wear shorts and then I wear compression pants under my shorts.
Right.
If I'm riding in the winter, I'm still warm. And even if I'm taking public transportation in the winter, I'm still warm.
Right.
But I don't like pants. Like if there are circumstances in which I probably could imagine I would have to wear pants. That's fine. I own pants. Right. But I don't enjoy or like pants at all. So
now one of the situations you can imagine needing to wear pants would be a memorial service, and yet you didn't wear pants.
I own a kilt.
I
own one kilt. I'm surprised I don't own like two or three in a variety of colors, but I own one black sort of utility kilt style kilt.
Oh.
So not like a traditional tartan or anything like that. I'm not Scottish, so I'm not trying to sort of go like for like plaid patterns and tartans and things. It's not really my thing. Black works. It's got two rather roomy pockets on the side, so kind of like my cargo shorts.
Nice.
Right? And a big pleated front, and it works for everything from, like if I got to do something formal where I'm still gonna look pretty nice in it. It's a little poofier than like some kilts are kind of nice and slim. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
More formal. This one definitely looks like it looks a bit like, I guess, what I would think of as a party kilt for being. But I can acquire kilts in other colors, and then that would definitely those would be the party kilts. This would be like the big time event kilt.
Yep, it would be black. Yeah. It shows that you're taking the situation seriously, unless you had a clan tartan, in which case you'd have to wear that, right?
Right.
So 2 questions on that. First of all, have you ever done like a DNA test, like 23andMe or anything like that?
No, because I don't trust them.
Oh, you don't trust them. Well, okay. Well, they're not going to hurt you.
No. I distrust it. I distrust where the data goes.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I have no idea. See, a friend of mine gave me a 23andMe test. Gee, like this was so many years ago now. It might have been the first year that 23andMe was in existence. And she and the data was a little bit bonkers. Like one of the things that's when they tried to tell you what your disease risk was.
Correct.
And so it came back that I was at like a -1% chance of breast cancer, and I'd already survived breast cancer. So like in that sense, I wouldn't trust them either. I get what you're saying. I never thought about my data being shared, but I don't care anymore. I mean, everything I might have wanted to protect is probably shared anyway. So like, go ahead, commodify me, have at.
With 23andMe or one of the other companies, they were bound to have shared their data with the FBI.
I think so, yeah.
And like at that point, I kind of felt like, aha, that's what I've been worried about is right now I get all this cool information and it feels kind of like, a DNA video game. You know what I mean? They'll do some updates every so often. They'll do some patches. I'll get even more information out of my DNA at some point. But like at the point in which we're sharing the information with people who can use that information for however they want to use it. And It's not even advertisers, right? Advertisers are annoying enough, right?
Yeah.
But my big concern was some agency, not governmental or otherwise, deciding to use information in a DNA database to target specific people.
Yes.
In ways that just like, are kind of like malicious.
Yes. Now for nefarious purposes, we have been gathered, turned into composites and particulars, codified and stored for future reference.
So the doctor, they take my blood,
patient
or whatever, and I feel like I've agreed that the doctor can have it and do this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm not. In that case, I'm going to the doctor for a reason.
Yeah.
And I'm accepting the risk that the blood that I give for my various labs gets destroyed at the end of the lab, right? Like,
yeah.
With a DNA test, I'm basically saying I'm walking you right into the vault that is my genetic history, and I'd rather. Now, do I wish I had all this information? Because DNA is right? Yeah, in a way, but the one hurdle I haven't gone around yet is that part. So that's why I decided.
Now, do you think that this is because I think it is, all right? So I'm just going to ask you, do you think that this is a difference between maybe how a Black person, American, and a white American might think about this?
In some cases, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, Black Americans and white Americans think about a lot of things. Why not?
Yeah, because that my thing is kind of like, fine. Well, I wasn't fine. I lost faith when they started mandatory fingerprinting us for driver's licenses. And I was like, that is so state intrusive. Fuck you, people, but I need to drive.
You gotta drive.
And so it was that point where I just kind of gave up. I said, you guys, you have me by the short and curlies no matter what. So fine, but on the other hand, I also think that the FBI thinks in such a way that, a white lady of a certain age is less likely to be, that's what they think. I'm not saying it's true, that they're going to think somebody like me is less likely to commit a violent crime than a Black man. So if they're going to go looking, they're going to go looking in that database and not the one I'm in. So if that makes sense.
For your fingerprints, yes. When they're asking for your fingerprints, you, like as a demographic group, are less likely to think there's some nefarious reason why they would want your fingerprint. So why not give the fingerprints?
Yeah. As opposed to, I'm giving it because I have to, but fuck you. Yeah. Fuck you for getting into my life like that, I was very suspicious. I hated it. But like I said, that's when I gave up. I said the state surveillance apparatuses has won. And I don't have a voice. And I can't protect myself, so there you go. That's but yeah, I don't worry really. I mean, it's like with facial recognition software, that can't see other colors than white people. That's really fucked up. But I don't seem to have a say in where it gets installed. Even if you go to the city council and you say don't do that, they're going to say, yeah, thanks for saying something, and we're going to do it. So. Are you there?
Are issues with the intrusiveness of the state.
Yep.
Or potential intrusiveness of the state, which is my entire issue.
Yeah.
And communities wise, we entirely disagree, not disagree, but have our various issues with what the state's asking for and why does the state need it. We don't always even see how we're being targeted.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I'll probably make it to my grave without being targeted for anything. My DNA test results were thoroughly unsurprising in that I was English, Welsh, Scottish, Irish, and Dutch. I'm like, we had to give you some money to tell me that?
Barely you're pushing in.
But yours could easily have Scottish, DNA. So I think that
easily be. But as our country, as the law enforcement apparatus in this country tries to move closer and closer to pre-crime, it's so easy to just imagine it, for me to imagine a scenario in which someone says, well, if this particular genetic marker is one for violence, and this is one for theft, and this is one for dishonesty, and this is, why not find everyone with those genetic markers and just start watching them intrusively, or just round them right up,
Yeah, exactly. We'd make like a short list, and that's what I meant by thinking that you and I would wind up in different databases, where I would be on just casually ignore that database, but this one
You'd be the same database, you just would be controlled for, right? Like
yeah, controllable, exactly. Or they would look at the DNA of like a Viking, Saxon, Kilt sort of person and say destined to rule. So wouldn't that be great? They would say, oh, look at your DNA profile. We must owe you like $4 million or something because you're like, you're like the motherland all rolled together. I'd be like, okay, where's my money?
Right. But then we give my money. And then
my money. We're all saying that, right? Give me my money back. Give me my money back. Oh well, okay. So kilts. So yeah, I think you could tell people that you have. Who could tell you don't?
Yeah.
Well, it's your life story. You get to tell it. You could say that you had your DNA testing done and that you're, 1/8 Scots, and you could pick your clan and you could start asserting yourself as a member of that clan. Why not?
Right.
I could do that.
I just like kilts.
That's what it comes down to. But I still have to ask about the socks now. Are the socks knee socks?
No, they were higher than my Doc Martens that I was wearing. Higher than that. The purple and pink.
And a beautiful pink shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Legion of Fan Terry was dressing for a memorial service yesterday, and that's what this is all about. But since we're interested in fashion, I mean, you could kind of see like if Terry played for a baseball team, any team, but we'll just pick the Rays because they're having fun. If Terry played for the Rays, this is what he would wear getting off the plane, right?
Say that again.
This is what you would wear getting off the plane.
More than likely, yes. I was told that I had to wear some kind of like formal wear, I would absolutely. I could do a jacket. Jackets are fine.
Yep.
My shirt would probably be brightly colored.
Yep.
My tie would probably be brightly colored.
Okay. So now to steer this in a slightly baseball directed direction, what did you think of that like big gold Slam Diego thingy that the Padres were using at the beginning of the season?
Well, in the case of the Padres, I think the Padres are running into a few weeks ago they discovered this with the issue that happened between Machado and the coach and Hernandez. It's when you're keeping the vibe arrogant and young, you have to remember that some arrogant young players are going to take that to an extreme, right? Like there's a way in which you want to have fun and keep it under control. You want targeted chaos, right? You don't want to, if you're going to have trophies for when someone on your team does well, you can't then be surprised when you get to later on in the year and some players act like the reins are just completely off. You know what I mean? Like you need people to stay in the game, right? But what you've done is you pull the trophy out, right? The trophy comes out every time somebody hits a home run.
Right.
The trophy comes out, there's a dance. Like it's not just a trophy, it's blingy and it spins. It's cool, right? Yep. But the attitude that said we need that, right, is the attitude some of your players play with. And there's times in which you're expecting them to have their crap together, right? Later in the season.
Yep.
Honestly, in a case like a player like Fernando Tatis, I don't think they've been in a situation that has been as leveraged as it is now, right? They didn't win it last year, the Dodgers did, right? They were kind of, I expected them to get there this year, and the Giants basically almost led wire to wire just about, right? Like there's actual pressure there to succeed now, right? And I don't think Fernando Tatis Jr. has been under as much pressure as as he is now.
Right.
So you need him to keep his head in the game and stop being an ass. Yet you created a culture by which when you do your job, you're allowed to be an ass.
Yeah.
Right? Like hitting a home run is the thing you want your baseball team to do, right? It's not like something we're discouraging. So we're encouraging hitting of home runs. We hit the home run, right? But when we hit the home run, we get the damn trophy thingy. We get to gyrate and play with our toys. The players most likely to do that on the team are Machado and Tatis, right? So my only issue is you have to you got to live with it, right? Because what you basically told this kid was, and it's what Machado told him, we know you're the best. Everybody knows you're the best. Now go play baseball.
Uh-huh.
Right? Their heads literally now, in a way, the Slam Diego trophy is almost a hindrance because their team is now about that.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of staying in the moment, staying in the game, and winning baseball. Screw the trophy. Right? Manufacture runs if you're not hitting home.
Yep.
Right? Get on base, get walks, whatever. Right? If you you don't like the way the ump's calling pitches, you get another at bat.
Yep.
Right? Make sure you get a hit. Don't think that you're going to have such a great eye here that you're just going to get walked because everybody's afraid of you. They're not trying to walk you. They want to get you out.
They want to.
Yeah, they want to get you out. They're not that scared. Right? Everyone wants to be the guy. Like I said before about like players who are about to break records. I'm not going to pitch a ball to a dude who's about to, he ain't getting a record on me.
Right.
I'm going to do any number of things. But he's not hitting a bomb off you, right?
Right.
As like Nando, who are such prolific home run hitters, who are so good at this, whoever's pitching against them, actually, they want to attack this guy.
Uh-huh. They
want to show that they can do that. They want to measure themselves up against him. But his problem seems to be that there's almost a level of entitlement is what it begins to look like it's entitled. You haven't earned that. You haven't earned a championship. You haven't earned a division, right? So why are you behaving the way you're behaving? Right? That looks like entitlement. And he's probably a good kid, right? I imagine he's a good kid. But I think that the downside of the Slam Diego necklace thing, right, is this. This is the downside. There was a whole lot of partying when you weren't winning the division.
Right. That's what I didn't like about it from the start. And I don't think I would have cared so much, except that I saw some of the other teams, like go for that stupid straw sombrero in Philadelphia, or now the suit jacket in Toronto. I mean, I felt like those things started as a reaction to that, like those teams are saying, we know who you are and we think it's silly.
Well, remember, like here in Chicago, when the Cubs hit a home run, it was always the bullpen cam and everybody doing ridiculous dances in the bullpen, right? Yep. And some of that is like, look, if you're winning, you don't say anything about it. But the point we start beating you, now we're clowning you, right? Now it comes, and this is why we've got this kind of stuff.
You remember that? I mean, every well, not for as long as I've been watching baseball, because as long as I've been watching baseball, when I started, there weren't any cameras showing anything going on in the dugout, so you can't go back that far. Right. But for a while now, you've seen that as teams start to win, that glue kind of bubbles up. That thing that they just do, like the baby shark thing in Washington. Yes. But there was even the thing that Howie Kendrick and the other guy were doing in the dugout where, you know who I mean. Oh my gosh, that really super winning guy would do where they'd like rev the truck, after a home run.
Sure.
Right, but this was Adam Eaton. But this was the winning guy. This was after they were winning, right? And what I felt about the necklace in San Diego, I forget what do they call that thing anyway. Never mind. It's so ostentatious.
It really is. It's so ridiculous.
It was 2020. It belonged to 2020. It's 2021 now, and now you have to play baseball again.
Yep.
So hold off. Hold off on your gold shin guards and everything else, and create the glue and play the season and win the games. And that's I wish sometimes that I were, well, I think we've talked about this. One of my missed careers was being a director of sports broadcasts. And there was this great shot that I saw in a recent San Diego game where they had the necklace. They're still traveling with it, right? And I almost think they could have left it at home this time around, and it was sitting in the dugout on the bench all by itself. That's how the camera got it. It looked so lonely. It was such a great shot.
I don't mind these celebrations. I think that like baseball has a problem looking cool and interesting.
Yeah, it does.
Casual observer. That looks cool and interesting to the casual observer. I want that in the game. Yeah. But since you're doing that, when you don't do well, what I need you to do is not act like a child.
Yeah.
When you're doing poorly, like you can't spin the blingy Slam Diego necklace when you're winning, but then act like a complete bitch when you're losing. right?
Yeah, okay.
Right? It's now you have to lose with dignity, right?
Yeah.
You got to dust yourself off and get another at bat. But that's what I mean. Like,
yeah, okay.
in San Diego was what Nando showed, and the reason it became something we all saw, right? It isn't that he got a bad call from the ump, and that ball was up, right? Like the pitch he got, the ball was up.
Yeah.
He had every reason to think this is some bullshit. That's a strike. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But when he got back to the dugout, he couldn't let it go.
Right.
Right? Because you don't do that to him. You know what I mean? And there's where we got the problem now. You've been the cameras have been on you since you basically got called up, right? You've done amazing things. You come back from injury and you do amazing things. Everyone's watching you all the time, and you clown like you knew they were watching. Like he clowned like for the cameras, practically. Right? It'd be different. Like if this was Jerks and Profar, the cameras rarely ever on Jerks and Profar, right? You know, if it was Will Myers, right? Like there's players on that team who are important to the team that we're not always talking about. I mean, we might be talking about it because Profar has amazing fashion sense, but
right.
Like,
exactly.
Doing a thing, it's because now you're acting out and the camera happened to look over there. There's no reason for the camera to follow Jake Cronenworth back to the dugout, right? There's just not, we don't need to follow Eric Hosmer back to the dugout. Right. But we're going to follow Nando back to the dugout.
Right.
He would follow Manny Machado back to the dugout because Manny Machado was a bit of an ass before he got out of Baltimore.
Right.
And Manny Machado admitted it. When he saw Nando acting out like he was acting out, he was like, man, I used to be that guy.
Exactly.
But I can't be that guy anymore. I have to be an adult now.
Yep.
Right? He's like, I'm 30. I want to win.
Yeah.
You know? Actually, so that's why he went off on Nando like he did, because Nando's attacking like inanimate objects and screaming at coaches over a high strike. Ball, but still like a called high strike.
Yeah.
You know, if the umpire is telling you that he's going to call strikes up there, all right, then I guess you got to hit some balls in the right field, buddy. You know, look at those. Hit them.
Yeah.
You know,
I forgot to check in and say and hear what Pedro Martinez had to say about this, because he's known Nando since Nando could sit in his lap.
Sure.
It would have been interesting to find out what Pedro Martinez said about it. What I saw, somewhat different than what you saw. What I saw was somebody who's actually, by all appearances, a pretty good guy.
Sure.
And he's just, oh my God, he's just so young. You know, he's like the same age as my husband's grandson. He's just so young. and I respect young men of 22, 23, 24, what have you. I do. But there's so much weight was sitting on him and he couldn't carry it. I just think that's what it came down to. And he tried. He really tried. He tried all season to be the best person in baseball, to be the best player in baseball, but also be the best person in baseball, to carry a team, to carry MLB The Show, to carry a contract, to carry everybody who cared about him, who loves him, you know, family and friends and parents of friends, and on a nation, the DR. I mean, just so much that he carried, and he couldn't because he had a torn labrum. He couldn't. Right. And I mean, everything that he accomplished with a torn labrum is astonishing. I mean, I can't imagine. And getting that deep in the season, carrying all that weight without cracking up.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's fine if you crack up when you can control your crack ups. Like everybody says, that happens in the clubhouse all the time. Keep it in the clubhouse. But with that kind of pressure at any age, it's an impossible weight to carry.
Right.
And I think that's what did it. And the Padres were really good when he was healthy, but he wasn't. And the Padres weren't really good. And we all can see that. Everybody can see that the Padres are good if Nando's good. And that's what it comes down to for that team. Totally. So he wasn't good. And they're 25 games out of first place. And he cracked under the pressure. That's what I saw.
And it's entirely possible that he cracked under the pressure. But I will say that they have some high-profile pitchers who didn't exactly have Cy Young years that they've had in the past.
No, that's true. The pitching injuries.
No.
So there was no compensation for Fernando's injury.
Right.
You know, you want pitching and offense, defense and offense to both be good. You know,
Right.
There's not that many teams where the offense is so good that it can make up for poor pitching. Maybe in a series, but not in a season, right? So that was, but all that did was just add to his pressure. You know, that was just inconceivable amount of pressure is how I see that. Just inconceivable. I mean, the kind of pressure that makes somebody age 10 years in a year, kind of pressure that makes people's hair grow gray, kind of pressure, you know. And I don't, you know, we saw probably one sliver of the inner turmoil that is Fernando Tatis Jr., you know. And baseball players at least have a mentality where they put that behind them because they plow forward, you know.
Right.
I don't have that mentality. I just carry it all around with me forever. So, so I can't imagine that, but that's what I saw. And it made, I felt from day one when I saw that big old piece of bling, it's too soon. It's too ostentatious. You know, if you had like a little charm you were passing around, that would have been cool, but it's not 2020 anymore. And that is a 2020 piece of celebration.
Giant bling, which totally fits Manny Machado perfectly. So let's say that Fernando Tatis Jr. was the third best player on that team.
Yeah.
If the team was being carried by Eric Hosmer, Will Myers, Jake Cronenworth, and Manny Machado,
Right.
Like there's guys on that team who I love as players.
Oh, me too.
If they were more prolific in terms of the scoring output than Fernando Tatis was, we'd probably be talking about it differently because Tatis would just be the next guy down, who occasionally wear the necklace and dance a little bit, right?
Right.
But what we have is a situation by which the best player in the league is 22 years old and arrogant in that Deion Sanders kind of.
Oh, okay.
You know, like there's a thing where he knows that you're gonna have to prove you're good enough to beat him, right? But what he has proven is that over 162 games, he can beat someone he needs to beat, right? He's starting off his career with the Dodgers as his nemesis. Okay? This iteration of the Dodgers for the last 2-3 years, I don't know that I would feel like if I had to play in the NL West, I would rather be a Dodger than be on any of their opponents' teams if I have to spend the first 5 years of my life playing against the Dodgers.
Yeah.
In Cy Young Award voting this year, 3 of the probables are Dodgers starting pitchers, not named Clayton Kershaw.
Right.
You know, there's a tremendous amount on Tatis to win now, right? Even though he's only 22 years old, he doesn't have developmental time.
Right.
He doesn't have that. He has now because you've shown us you can do this. You can't do it for 90 games. You got to do it over 160 games, right? That's where we're at, right? So the celebration only is an issue because of how he cracked under the pressure. Right. You know how that team's falling apart.
Right. And then that's how that image of that they captured of the I don't know, I was going to call it the Slam Diego necklace, sitting there by itself on the dugout bench was so poignant and so eloquent of everything that this season has been, everything that this Padres season has been. It's wow, it's just sad as hell. Sad for baseball, sad for fans, sad for me. I wanted the 2020 Padres again.
Wait.
All those guys you mentioned, because they all just wowed and thrilled me last season.
But here's the other thing though, right? Some teams fall apart, right? But then other teams kind of play up, right? And that's the opposite side of it. Like you saw that there's not enough adults right now in San Diego to keep them together.
Right.
Somewhere north of San Diego by a lot of miles, there's a team who doesn't know they don't belong there yet, right? Who are trying to annoy their way into the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know? And I find that to be incredibly charming.
Yeah, it is. And I'm telling you, Terry, if you had not had the Mariners as your favorite team, I would not have been I've been so drawn into their season since April. And we talked about it on the podcast. We talked about it because I had my very first Mariners game was Spencer Turnbull's no-hitter. So they get no hit by the Tigers, and I'm like, wow, I really like these Tigers, and I did actually end up following them all season 2. And I still remember asking you about Chris Clevin. I said, like, what's the deal? That guy doesn't look like he knows where he is. And you said that he's going to be really good, and there he is. And to see JP Crawford like grow from a guy that I saw who looked lost at the plate, on the field, everywhere. He had this like vague look in his eyes, like, where am I and what do I need to do? I can't do what I want to do. To just practically doing handsprings at the home plate last night. I love this team. And I fell in love with the broadcasters, as you know. I fell in love with listening to them all night when I'm supposed to be sleeping, as you know. I mean, I love the Mariners. And I am so grateful to them for saving my day yesterday. Because in the bottom of the 8th, I was freaking out. I was like, you can't lose your season tonight. Not this game, not this night. You got to make it to tomorrow.
Right.
And they did. I love them.
Right? Like the Toronto Blue Jays, the Seattle Mariners right now are basically like one game out of the wild card.
Uh-huh.
One game to play.
Uh-huh.
Or possibly games tomorrow. Who knows?
Do you think that the Blue Jays are as charming as the Mariners, or the Mariners have a kind of a uniqueness that in that category of charming?
I honestly think they're equally charming, because what the Blue Jays have is like the story of everyone on that team's dad played in the major leagues.
That's true.
When I think of the Blue Jays, I legit think that they're cool because of the amount of second generation talent there.
Yeah.
And I actually like the part about the Blue Jays story that for basically the last season and a half, they couldn't play in Toronto.
I love that part of their story.
Right?
That's
I feel like
beautiful.
I want the Blue Jays to basically play all their games touring college baseball teams.
Yep.
The Blue Jays should be like the world's best, like World Series caliber, like AAA traveling team, right? Like, yep. That's what I think they should do.
I'm sure they probably don't want that, but the rest of us do. The rest of us totally want that.
That made me like, that was cool. Like, oh, look at what they're doing.
Yeah.
They don't even have a home stadium they can play in right now.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
But Kevin Biggio, Bo Bichette, and Vlad Jr. Like, three guys.
Yeah.
Like for
the infield.
Everything we just said about San Diego.
Uh-huh.
It's the opposite is true in Toronto.
Uh-huh.
Those three guys can be absolute frat boys if they wanted to.
Yep.
Right? Well, I don't know if Kevin Biggio knows how to party, because Craig Biggio did not seem to have a lot of fun outside of like the baseball diamond, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A wild, like kind of maniac of a dude. But like Dante Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero, I think they knew how to party.
Yeah, no doubt.
But like the way they're holding it together, there's no like sense of entitlement there. They're just gonna keep scrapping it.
Yeah. Vlad Guerrero Jr.'s been in the news a lot lately, just in interviews, and he just comes across as having mastered that quiet confidence that everybody else wishes they had. He doesn't have to hang it in your face, because he just says, I've got it.
Yes. And some of this is like, last year, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. did not have a good year, right?
True.
But he came back this year, right? Bounced back.
Yep.
Right? Sometimes, like, having that adversity, having to play through it, having to figure it out, it's character building for some guys.
Yeah, it is.
That's what Nando needs. Nando needs it.
Yeah.
It's also why I think Mike Trout is always basically considered the best player in baseball, because Mike Trout has nothing but, like, stellar numbers, then an injury, then stellar numbers, then an injury, out for the season. Mike Trout's been out for most of this season.
He has been.
No one doubts that next year he's going to come back and be a star. He just is also going to have to suffer through playing in Anaheim.
Yeah, I was thinking last time we had said that Jacob deGrom was the Mike Trout of pitchers, but I think the balance is shifting, and now Mike Trout is the Jacob deGrom of hitters.
Jacob deGrom of hitters. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's sad, Okay, so that reminds me, something I really, really wanted to almost text you about the minute I heard it was Ohtani kind of, letting everybody know, putting everybody on notice that if the Angels don't give him something, he's going to leave.
I mean, it's kind of like the right thing. Like if Trout had done this, we'd have fixed it by now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trout basically doesn't demand the team get better. He doesn't demand talent around him. Right. The Angels go out and spin because they're spending.
Right.
I didn't get the impression that as the Angels were being built, they were being built because Trout was like, this is what we need.
Mm-hmm.
It struck me as the Angels just were active in free agency, right? So yeah, they got Ohtani and they got Rendon, and that cost them a crap ton, right? But I wonder if that was done with a plan, or if that was like, look, it's a free agent. We need a big free agent. Well, he demands a bunch of money. We'll give him a bunch of money, right?
Well, they've been doing that forever. They did that with Pujols.
They did exactly that with Pujols.
Yeah, and they did it with a pitcher too at the same time, who I don't remember now, which probably speaks volumes to the pitchers winning seasons or lack of on the Angels, right? But they did it with two different players. So it was two players tied up so much money for them.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing I'm kind of worried about, is that everybody's human. Everybody is human. And a lot of us, we have ways of doing things that it's very difficult for us to change. It's how we do things, right? And I was thinking about Jerry Dipoto in particular, who his probably most obvious, very human trait is that he likes to trade. He likes to acquire and trade. And
roster, and it just bugs him that nothing's been changed in the last 48 hours. He has to change something.
Yeah, better change something. And that's in a lot of ways, that's who he is. And so Jim Bowden in The Athletic had said that, you watch out, because the way that the Mariners are coming along, they are going to be the team to beat in 2023. They're going to be so fiery and so dynamic. And there's another AL team too. I mean, he wasn't saying it was just going to be the Mariners, right? But that was 2023 was going to absolutely be the Mariners season. But that means that they have to continue cultivating on the path they're on and not change it. So can we depend on that? Same with the Angels. I mean, we know what the Angels need to do, but given the character and just personality of the people who make the decisions about acquisitions, trades, player development and such, can they? Or will they just mess it up?
I think the issue with the Mariners that works in favor of Mariners fans, if there's a tradable commodity that they have that isn't a young player, like they want to keep their young, like up and coming sort of like top prospects, they want to keep those all in house for the most part. Right? The tradable commodity that they have on their roster is basically Mitch Haniger.
Yeah.
Right. And Mitch Haniger is not like thought about around the league as the guy you're going to build your team around.
No.
The Mariners accidentally built the team around Mitch Haniger.
Yeah.
Jerry Dipoto will end up trading Mitch Haniger. He will end up getting draft picks for him. He won't get a great major leaguer back. And then you'll end up in a situation where, like, the Mariners can win without Mitch Haniger because Jared Kelenic next year might develop into the player you need him to develop into.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But truthfully, we think the Mariners kind of need to keep Mitch Haniger, right?
We do.
Just keep that guy,
because
that guy is the veteran while everyone else is developing, while everybody else is coming along. Haniger is the steady force,
It's
while you're
true.
Crawford, Dylan Moore, Ty France, like Kyle Seager is also a veteran on that team that you can trade. But if you traded Kyle Seager, it's the same kind of situation. You're not going to get back stellar major league pitching for him. You're going to get back like picks.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know that you really need to do that, because now the picks are coming up.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what they're going to do. They said I was lucky last night, obviously very lucky that I got to watch that game between the Mariners and the Angels. And I got to have that nail biting. Oh my God, they're going to lose this game. Oh my God, they did not lose this game. Like all the excitement, just all of that. I got to have that high drama night last night. And then even more lucky was that it was one of those games that was so special that MLB TV did not cut it off, but ran it to show us the post-game show. So I got to see the post-game interviews with Service, with Haniger, with Seager, and to listen to the commentators, sort of discuss what they saw, pitching, hitting, whatever could happen today, they don't know. And they're very honest if they don't know what's going to happen today. Haniger's like, let's keep it going. Come on, fans, come on back out. Let's keep this going. Let's win. Very exciting. But they said about Corey Seager that today could be his last day as a Mariner. This could be his final game as a Mariner. They're saying that last night in Seattle.
Could have been the final. Yeah.
It's disappointing because disappointing. I saw that as disappointing. I mean, even if he became a bench guy, I think you need him there.
He's a starter to me. Like he's not even like anywhere else. Like there's a lot of places in this league he can start.
Mm-hmm.
What I would want for him if he had to leave, I'd want him to go to a contending team.
Yep.
Like I'd love to see him in Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there's some teams that just that don't really need a third baseman per se, right? I like to see like Houston doesn't need him. I imagine he can totally play in Tampa Bay because I don't know offhand who's playing third there right now. But probably Kyle Seager could absolutely play there, There's teams that are looking to contend that can totally use that player.
So who all and I was putting on the spot because it's kind of a research question, but who all out of the teams is the most in need of a solid, strong third baseman?
I'm wondering is in places like Houston's going to lose some guys, right? So I'm wondering if Houston loses Altuve and Correa, right? Do they move Bregman to short and then play Seager? Do they get Seager to play third? Like that kind of, because Houston's losing some people.
Yeah.
Right? And then if Dipoto can't help himself and Seager's got to go somewhere, then in the Houston.
Yeah.
Like I can live with it.
Yeah. What about the Cubs?
The Cubs are honestly,
you want him on a contender. I take that back. You want him on a contender. Yeah.
But it's also very Cub, right? Like they're rebuilding.
Yeah.
They have one large contract on their offense, one that's Jason Hayward contract, who I have to imagine they want to try to buy out at some point. They've got to try to buy him out. I got to imagine they will. There's young kids all over the damn place. They're paying David Bodie right now to play third, and his contract is not onerous.
Right.
They rewarded him for being a super backup a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Contract is not something he's really locked into, let's say, right? But the way the Cubs have been playing with the young kids who've been playing, the kids who don't know that they should suck, right? The way they've been playing, Kyle Seager actually looks pretty good in the Cubs uniform.
Yeah.
But you're not catching the Brewers with Kyle Seager. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're trying to get somewhere, it entirely has to be like, how do we beat the best team in this division?
Yeah. So the Rays have a very special third baseman. Cardinals have a very special third baseman. I can't even remember who plays third base for the Yankees. Isn't that sad?
I want to say Gio Torres or Urshela.
Urshela is third base? Okay.
I think so.
Urshela has a chance to be really good. He really does.
Yeah.
So,
it's Gleyber Torres. That's what I think. I think it was
Gleyber Torres. I think that a lot of people want the Yankees to trade Gleyber Torres. They don't like him. They don't think he fits in.
But does Gleyber Torres fit in, or are the Yankees so set everywhere? Right, the Yankees have depth.
Yeah.
That maybe it's not that maybe they can trade Gleyber Torres. That's like a thing you can pull off, right? Like you can get something for Gleyber Torres. I know a lot of people Gleyber Torres.
The thinking in New York, I could be wrong. The thinking in New York seems to me to be that if you are not hitting 320 with 40 home runs, then you don't fit on that team.
Yeah.
That really seems to be, at least the pressure that the fans are putting on him, is very intense right now. And that seems to be the sentiment. But I'll put it that way, that if you're not a at least 40 home runs, at least 320, at least on base percentage of 600, then you don't belong in the Yankees, and you need to go.
Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton are underwhelming.
Yeah, you got a team like that. So I don't know. So anyway, I mean, I'm just thinking of contenders. Rays, no. Yankees, maybe, but I don't know if Kyle Seager could give the fans what they want in New York.
Right now, 35 home run, 100 RBI guy.
Yeah, that wouldn't be enough. I guess it would be Gleyber Torres, but it wouldn't be enough.
You know, like right now, his numbers are comparable to Max Muncy. Right, which everybody wished they had a Max Muncy.
Oh yeah.
You know, they're slightly they're comparable to Manny Machado's.
Yeah.
Minus steals.
Yeah.
You know? Like there's guys out there that there's good comps for Kyle Seager. You know, that some team could just say, look, he's not a household name, so I don't want to pay him $1 million. I don't want to pay him the farm, right? Like if you give me 35 home runs and 100 RBI, I'll take it in any position on the field.
Or the Mariners figure out how to keep him.
Yeah, the Mariners should figure out how to keep him.
They really should. That's my favorite landing spot for Seager is the Mariners.
The only reason I would imagine that it's an issue is if the Mariners don't want to have to pay what he might be owed. Like I have a contract situation. Like that kind of. I'll do that. I'll look this contract because that could be the only issue. But for that production. That looks like that's a contract earned to me. Yeah.
Well, I think for the while you look that up, I think the Mariners are that fairy tale team. They are that Cinderella team that we want to see every season. Outside of a dynasty, I mean, it's no fun to see the Red Sox be like a Cinderella team because that's a dynasty. Even if it had a long drought, a long curse, it was a dynasty, right? Same with the Yankees, same with the Cubs, same with the Dodgers, same with the Giants. These are dynasty teams. That they're not doing well, it's because they're falling short. They're not Cinderellas. They're not, down in the basement sweeping out the hearth and hoping that some fairy godmother will come along and get them out of there. The Mariners, obviously no fairy godmothers in baseball. The Mariners are truly a fairy tale. I think that's the charm because they've won on being committed to winning.
Yep.
And that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. I mean, I know there's some really good sort of pieces there and they put a good team together, but not expected to win, just expected to play baseball for 162 games. And these guys have given us the season to remember.
Kyle Seager played on a 7-year, $100 million contract that is just including now. So the reason he's gone is they aren't about to pay Kyle Seager another $100 million, right? He's 33, right?
Right.
So he's 33 years old. He just finished the $100 million contract. This is Seattle we're talking about. So that's the likelihood that he sticks in Seattle is very small.
Right.
Because for 35 home runs and 100 RBI at 33 years old, it's entirely likely he's going somewhere else.
Yeah. And maybe not to a contender.
Maybe. Someone who can pay him. In my brain, that feels like the Angels. But Anthony Rendon's already there.
Right. Anthony Rendon's already there. And Anthony Rendon hopefully will be Anthony Rendon next season.
What about the Washington Nationals?
Well, that was my thought too, is that the Nationals would be a great place for him because the Nationals did not, when they said, fine, here we are at the trade deadline and we are not going to win. So let's trade all these guys. That didn't strike me as tanking. It struck me because they kept Soto. I just don't think you're going to keep Soto if you're planning on tanking.
Well, you're cheap. He's cheap and he's only like 20 years old, right? So yeah. You're keeping him because you'd be a fool to get rid of him.
You'd be a fool, yeah. So let's see them build up a good team to contend. That's what I want to see the Nationals do. And they seem to me to have that their leaders seem to have the personality traits to make that happen. They seem to have a culture and ownership willing to make that happen, willing to say, well, we don't have to tank and then rebuild for 7 years before we get anywhere. Can I just say I hate tanking? And I don't think the Nationals are doing that. The Nationals were saying, let's get some good stuff now while we can, because this is not our year. But it doesn't mean that they wouldn't say next year could be our year, especially when you're in the NL East, not a strong division. Why not compete?
Right. I agree.
So hopefully that's the Nationals' thought process. I don't actually know, but it seems likely to me that it's their thought process, just because it matches their earlier thought processes. It's a track record. And there are going to be some really good guys that they can get. I mean, even when they traded Max Scherzer to the Dodgers, the talk in Washington was, well, this is just for a few months and then he'll be back. Right. And who knows, maybe he will be. I don't know. He might get a taste of the West Coast and say, I want to stay out here. I like it out here. I've never seen.
Yeah, so he can go
wherever
he wants. He can decide to not go back.
Yeah, exactly. He can go wherever he wants. And who knows? I mean, who knows how much competition there's going to be for Scherzer? I think it's going to be pretty intense. I assume so.
Right.
So, a man being able to write his own ticket, would he return to the Nationals? Who knows? I mean, he went the first time and it was completely mystifying. So, why not? Because look what happened. I mean, great things happened for Max Scherzer, right? In DC, great things happened for him. So why not? I mean, I can't help but wish for that. But at the same time, the pitchers that we have been seeing them try out, trying them out, we're not going to contend. So let's try some of these guys out, give them some big league experience. That's been the experience of the Nationals in August and September, and it's been really fun to see who they have and who could come up. Kind of like the way they brought Jared Kelenic up in Seattle for a little while, and we all went, whoa, that's who this guy could be. And then they sent him back, and then they bring him back, and wow, this guy, So, and that's the kind of thing we've seen happening in Washington. So
upgrade over Ryan Zimmerman.
Yeah. So why not? I wanted to ask you earlier when you were talking about Nando and arrogance. What do you see in Juan Soto?
Not the same kind of arrogance. I see like there's a line, right? That line between like this is youth, this is fun, versus entitlement, right?
Right.
Soto still looks like he's having fun.
Yeah.
Right. Even on a losing team, he's having, right. He's picking up on the gamesmanship here, right? Like everything an opposing team will do to get you out. So what's your edge gonna be? Right. It's that thing.
Right. That many walks. Many walks.
Yes.
Soto's a smart guy and he knows what he wants.
There's nothing in Soto that I see that comes off like his team should be in first place, and it would be if it weren't for these umpires.
Oh, okay, yeah.
His team should be in first place if it weren't for block, right? So right. His job is to go out there and play baseball, and he's going out and playing baseball, and he's enjoying his time with his teammates. I don't see anyone having to come up to Soto and be like, no, man, do it like this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that if we've got young players in the league who are holding it together throughout like the trials and tribulations of playing long seasons and not always having things go your way. But to me, the Nationals fell further, right? Given that the Nationals actually won a World Series.
Right.
They fell further
to be
as far down as they are.
Yeah,
right?
They really did.
The Max Scherzer job and got traded.
Yeah.
Like they've gone and done all that stuff, right? San Diego hasn't made it to where Washington was.
Right.
So what do you have to be upset about, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? To me, like that,
right.
I guess that's the difference.
So we haven't, I don't think at all season, talked at all about the Red Sox, and so I think we should do that before we sign off.
Okay.
Because we just haven't talked about them, and that's a little bit weird given where they are right now.
Going away, like I wasn't expecting the Red Sox to be this good this year.
Nobody was.
I really wasn't.
And
I wasn't. I'm a believer in a whole lot of the Red Sox.
What do you think it is that has made them so good?
I think that players like Rafael Devers just like showing up as if they were David Ortiz.
Yeah.
You know, Rafael Devers doesn't know he's Rafael Devers, right?
Right.
And that's part of it. Like a part of the Red Sox whole situation is they're not worried about what previous Red Sox teams. And sometimes it comes to me, like the way I look at teams, I look at teams based on like, well, they're not that historically good teams. They're still building. And you start thinking of the Red Sox still building. And nope, they're built. No. They're not. They're done. They're good.
They're good.
Don't worry about them.
That's the way I saw it too. Yeah, they're and I guess that's the same thing they're saying about the Giants. I don't know. The Giants are just that mystery I'm never going to crack for myself personally. Like, to sort of have this, this fan kind of sensibility of what a team's really about. I'm not going to get that with the Giants. But when I think about the Red Sox, and I watched a lot of or listened to a lot of Red Sox games because I made sure that I caught every game between the Red Sox and the Rays, because usually those games are really exciting. And I like really exciting games. And when you say Red Sox to me, that's what I say back is Rafael Devers. Yeah, absolutely.
And like Bobby Dahlbeck, when he came up like last year, the year before, Bobby Dahlbeck was like hot as hell for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, Mercedes hot is what it looked like, and then he tailed off.
Yeah.
Okay, he's going to be a fastball hitter, And Dahlbeck, it turns out, can hit.
Yep.
And him and Kyle Schwarber in the same lineup, I like that.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, I'm not Christian Arroyo. I'm not the biggest Christian Arroyo fan. Kike Hernandez. Every team should have a Kike Hernandez. Every team should have a guy who plays every position except pitcher.
Right.
You should have a guy who does that, and Kike Hernandez does that for you.
Plus, he plays leadoff and he gets on base.
Absolutely, he does.
Yeah.
Right. There's guys there who just do some good stuff. Xander Bogaerts is still playing. He's got to be 50. Like they're doing this with Alex Verdugo, who is like a lot of other teams. He's your fourth outfielder, right? Like there's guys on this team who are just doing this at a high level who you just don't expect that. Like you don't expect starter production at this point out of all these guys, and it turns out they're just all doing it together.
Yeah.
And JD Martinez is also 60 years old, and he's still playing.
Well, I guess you're kind of giving the whole picture of the Giants. I mean, that's the Giants too.
When you're watching these guys in the postseason, you're watching the Giants and you're watching the Red Sox. You cheer for them, not because these were the guys you were following all year long, but you cheer for them because sometimes in baseball, one of the things that I love about the game is that there are guys playing above their level, right?
Yeah.
At some point, if they do it at the right time, you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You're winning your division, right? You're running away with it.
Yeah, you're running away with it. Exactly. Or not, or just, it's so crazy. It's like the Giants went into the room, the winning room, right? Where you win, and they closed the door. And these amazing Dodgers stand out there all season saying, let us in, let us in. And the Giants don't do anything. They're just hanging out in their armchairs in the winning room and smoking cigars. And, the Dodgers are banging and they're like, yeah.
And at least in that case, the Dodgers are banging at the door to get the division or get to the playoffs, and they're the first wild card. But the thing that in our San Diego discussion that is critical here is San Diego ended up basically 11 games back of the wild card, right? Well, Philadelphia were 8 games back of the wild card. All you really had to do, really, was play good enough to be better than Cincinnati and Philadelphia. Right? Because St. Louis won 17 straight games. That's not a thing every team does. No. In my opinion, San Diego letting the wheels fall off, right, means that they're asleep at the wheel while St. Louis is playing out of their heads.
Right.
And no one's afraid of Philadelphia and Cincinnati.
No.
Right? You had a chance. You did better than the Mets. Let's put it that way. You did. The Mets paid. We talked about the beginning of the season. The Mets tried to buy a championship, and I didn't think that was going to work.
Yeah.
And they came close. I didn't think that was going to work. The San Diego Padres, by not keeping their crap together, allowed other teams to do better than they were doing and be in position higher than them, which didn't need.
Yeah. I don't like cliches, but this was really a case of a team needing to look at itself in the mirror.
Yes.
You know. And
also why the Cubs were broken up.
Yeah.
This is exactly why the Cubs were broken up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. All right. Chicago then. How are the White Sox?
Well, you better hope to be healthy because they need Tim Anderson and they need Jose Abreu.
Yeah.
They're gonna need both.
Yeah.
Right. But I think they're in.
Yeah.
So yay, this is the team to beat.
Yeah.
But I think they're gonna wrap everything. They're gonna wrap everything in bubble wrap for the next couple of days. You know?
Yeah. I think I just have to add a little bit because my reading of the White Sox is if you don't have Tim Anderson and Jose Abreu, you can forget about it. But at the same time, those two guys aren't enough. You need everybody to be healthy. There isn't a person on that team that you cannot do without.
And I think at this point they're going into it with everyone healthy. Those are your two question marks, and mostly because Abreu got hit with a ball the other day.
Yeah,
he's probably just got some. Been hit like 25 times this year.
Yes, he's been hit a lot. He's been hit a lot, and it's gotta hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. They've probably been doing of 24 hours in a day. 20 of those hours have been spent at the slot baths. I imagine.
Yeah, he probably doesn't even have a home anymore. He just has a tiny little studio apartment with an ice bath in it. That's all he needs.
That's where he's living these days. I think they'll be all right. They'll be fine. Because once the playoffs start, they're going to be firing on all cylinders.
They are, and it's going to be we're so excited for the playoffs. Do you think there's any team in the playoffs who can't win?
Let's see.
Accounting for everybody who's still contending today.
I'm worried about my Atlanta Braves.
Are you?
I'm a little worried about the Braves.
Why?
Yeah. Well, I kind of feel like of the National League teams who've made it, there's teams who all year long were doing the job, right? Like San Francisco and Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Atlanta had to claw their way in. They had to claw their way to the division. That was a dogfight, right? To me, the way I view it. Yeah. So if it turns out that you're playing, let's say St. Louis, who won 17 straight and are hot, right? I worry about you getting through that series.
Right. Right.
That's one where I'm concerned.
Okay.
Atlanta. And I picked Atlanta to win their division, and so I'm behind them. But the way the end of the season is working out, I'm a little concerned about that. Tampa, I'm not concerned about. Houston, I'm not concerned about. Chicago, I'm not concerned about. Boston or the Yankees, if they get further, then the concern stays with them.
Okay. It seems to me.
Scare me long term.
It seems to me we have a really great postseason this year because there won't be a team in the postseason that can't go all the way.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's thrilling. That is absolutely thrilling, where you cannot look at a single game so far scheduled and say, oh, well, that one, come on, logically, that's going this way. You really don't know. And I love that. I love that. I could not be more excited about this postseason.
There's no team making it to the postseason where it feels like it's a fluke that they're there. They're on a technicality. There's none of that.
Yeah.
Rules change that allow for an extra team in. We're doing the second wild card thing or whatever, but the second wild card I think is actually good. Right? It's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Keeps fan base.
Even if she said, even though probably that wild card game is going to be Giants Dodgers, that's going to be one of the most exciting games I will ever see in my life. So
and Cardinals Dodgers, one game.
Yeah, one game. Yeah, one game. Yeah, that's true. I don't think the Giants and Dodgers will be in the wild card. Sorry about that. Although that would have been awesome. I think I saw that coming and I was rooting for it. So now I'm like, I forgot to make the adjustments. Yeah, I wanted to see that so bad. But you're right. It'll be a, and I won't know who I'm rooting for probably until the 6th inning in any of these games because I'll have so many emotions happening at once, that the desire to win emotion won't be able to bust through until things settle down.
Figure out if Toronto's getting in.
Yeah.
Like there's that part of it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any one of them. It's incredible. It's incredible and it's exciting. And I think that this has been probably my favorite season of baseball as a fan has been this one. The only thing I don't like about the Braves is that I could root for them last year because there were no fans, but they're back to that stupid war cry. And I just don't want to listen to it. I don't want to listen to it. And I want Atlanta eliminated as fast as possible in as few home games as possible. Because it just ruins my day. It really does. I'm sorry I feel so strongly about it because it only hurts me. But
looking at what we're looking at, it's likely to happen.
Yeah.
To be eliminated as fast as possible.
Okay, good. Thanks, Terry. That makes me feel a lot better. You are so reassuring.
The last day of the fantasy playoffs. I am in the championship game.
Are you?
Yep.
Wow.
I don't know what happened to be.
How does that feel?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I've got my wage. Like at one point I was in 5th. I've made it all the way up to 3rd. So the top 4 teams in my league make the playoffs. I have absolutely I've managed the best I can manage.
You have. Well, you certainly made fantasy baseball seem fun to me. How long were you in 5th place trying to make that final push?
3rd most of the league, and then at some point mid-season, I fell into 5th for about 3 weeks.
Okay.
And that was very stressful.
Okay.
It was stressful the minute I realized somehow I thought that in this league, the top, that more teams made it to the playoffs. I didn't realize it was only 4 of us that made the playoffs. Once I realized there's only 4 of us that made the playoffs, that's when the panic set in.
Okay.
Then it became like, okay, but I was also in 5th place because I had injuries, but everybody had injuries, right? Two of my best pitchers, I think, were injured. A couple of Juan Soto was injured. Like a lot of injuries that happened in the middle of the season for me. And once I worked my way back into 3rd place, yay, this works. So in the playoffs, I had to play the second place team, and I beat him. And now I'm playing the first place team. And as of right now, I'm down 4-8. So this is okay. I can live with being down 4-8 now, with games really just starting. Considering that at Wednesday he was up 11-0.
Wow.
So Wednesday I was completely being shut out.
Wow.
I've been keeping it close practically every day. By end of day, we've been within 1 point. Is right now 4 points up, but the game just began. So
do you guys go all the way through the postseason?
No, this is it. This is the end of it because when
Okay.
it starts, half the players on our teams won't be playing.
That's true. And you don't like redraft and regroup and plow ahead?
Yeah, there are leagues that are basically playoff leagues, right?
Oh, okay. Okay.
It does exist.
Okay, so it happens differently though. So today's the day. All right. So when will you know? Will you know at 4 p.m. Chicago time, 5 p.m. Chicago time?
2:15 now. And let's see. Looks like everyone's playing right now, as near as I can tell.
Yeah.
So you should know by 6 o'clock.
Wow.
Chicago time, 7 o'clock your time, maybe.
So head to head?
Yeah.
I'm an hour earlier than you.
You're an hour early, right?
Yeah.
So maybe 5 o'clock your time.
Okay. So wow. So it's just the two of you. You're like your little. I mean little in terms of not a lot of fanfare and there's no cameras on you.
Right.
But you have a World Series happening today.
Just pitching today. My opponent has probably 3 pitchers. We were both dropping pitchers that didn't need to play.
Yeah.
That weren't good. That they made their last start. We
Yeah.
were dropping pitchers and picking up pitchers who were starting today. We were both doing that. He's only got 2 pitchers today. He's got Weaver San Martin and Walker Buehler pitching. Which Walker Buehler is Walker Buehler. So I'm not so concerned because he's just going to do a walk if he does, you know. But I have 3 guys going today because what I need is the chance at more quality starts, and 2 of my 3 pitchers that actually get wins will do me some good, right? Like that's kind of where we're at.
Okay.
And if we tie, like if neither of us wins, I think I still win because I hold the head-to-head tiebreaker against this guy.
Okay.
Which
Okay.
For all of my fantasy baseball stress.
Would you say that your winning strategy has been checking every day?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Every time I play fantasy anything, well, fantasy baseball, fantasy football, you have to check every day because the games are mostly on Sunday, right? Like
right.
Fantasy baseball, I check. The first thing I check is how my team did, right? What they do after I went to bed, let's say. Because you know how many games start at 9 o'clock? I'm not staying up.
Right.
So I'll check on how my team is doing, what they did yesterday to see if I feel good about that. And then I will go and look and see if anyone in my league dropped someone they shouldn't have dropped.
Uh-huh.
Because in fantasy baseball, what I've discovered is one of the critical elements is you have to have more patience than your opponents have, right?
Okay.
Someone is going to get really frustrated with a guy that you already eyed during the draft and you knew that guy was good. And someone's going to be like, this guy sucks. I can't have it. And they're going to drop that guy and pick somebody else up, right? And when that happens, I look every day to see if somebody is just let a guy go they shouldn't have. They gave up on someone too early. They didn't understand how good George Springer actually is, right? They didn't understand how good Brandon Lau actually is. Pete Alonso. Those are 3 players I picked up in my league this year.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay, so, one would not tend to think that checking every day is a sign of patience. But I see what you're saying because you're checking every day and you're being patient to see. But if you're not there to pick up something that somebody's dropped, somebody else will do it. So you need to be there every day. It also sounds to me like you really have you have to have your act together for the draft.
More or less.
Yeah, that's not something you can just phone in and just pick who looks good. You need to really think about who those players are and how they're likely to do, right?
Yeah, and my draft mistake this year was I didn't we're tracking categories, and the category I kind of didn't track enough and draft players who did enough with stolen bases, but I kind of almost overcompensated in walks.
Okay.
Everyone on my team draws walks.
Okay.
Just about, right? Like I draw a lot of walks, which I think for some other players, that's one of the things that they would overlook, right?
Okay. Well, would you like to just quick explain to Legion of Fan what you told me by text the other day about the mentality of the stolen base?
So yeah, so the trick with stolen bases is effectively what seems to be happening is players who steal a lot of bases are mostly stealing those bases in the earlier part of the season. Because if your team is in contention down the stretch, steals are a risk, right?
Uh-huh.
And now teams become risk averse because they don't want to get run out of a potential win, right?
Right.
They don't want to run out of a potential winning situation. So there's less green lights going on in August and in September for players to steal, right?
Right.
Players on contending teams steal less because you have other ways of manufacturing runs because you hit. But on a bad team, players who steal all the damn time because you're trying to stick, right? You want to make sure you're in the major leagues. You want to make sure you're noticed. Stolen bases look fantastic on a team that's like trying to figure out who's going to be here for next year while we suck. You know, guys will come up and they'll steal left, right, and center.
Yeah,
they ain't nailed down. They'll pick the base up and run into the dugout with it, right? But once that team becomes good, you're like, why won't we steal? You won't steal because now you're good,
right?
You know, now stealing could get you in trouble. You know, when nothing's on the line, people are stealing like crazy.
Yeah.
Because you're losing games.
Yeah.
You're losing because you're stealing, you're losing because you suck.
So the deeper you get into the season, the more a stolen base becomes a concern because you're trying to shore up your record and make it better and beat the better teams and beat the teams that aren't better. So conversely, you might say that throughout the season, walks are valuable no matter what.
Yes.
Okay.
Walks are valuable no matter what.
So could you then actually overdo it on walks and minimize the importance of stolen bases in the draft. It seems to me that if you're drafting your fantasy team and you did the other side where you wanted to get more guys that would steal and fewer guys that would walk, then you've messed up.
So that will absolutely have played out if I win this league, because it's kind of what I did. But the trick is also players who steal 35 bases this year are going to steal 32 bases next year.
Okay.
30 bases the following year are going to steal 25 bases the following year.
Okay.
As players get older, they steal less.
Okay. Right.
So you can't, like, this is why I think it is that players who steal a lot, they go high in the draft, provided they have other offensive output.
Okay.
The guy who's like a 260 hitter with 12 home runs but steals 35 bases, he's not getting drafted in your first 3 rounds. You don't need that guy yet.
Right. Okay.
Other guys are more valuable to you, but a guy who hits 35 home runs and gets like 90 RBI and steals 25 bases, he's going.
Okay.
Because he does other things for you, including the stolen bases.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. So next season, are you drafting Mitch Haniger?
If I can, I can see on my team where a Mitch Haniger would fit in.
Okay.
Like, but it seems like every year I definitely have Kyle Seager because Kyle Seager I know that guy's 35 home runs and 100 RBI, and crying out loud, late in the draft, he's always there.
Yeah.
Because he plays in Seattle, right? If he played in LA, Kyle Seager would be picked in the third or fourth.
Yeah. So it's a matter of being seen.
A lot of it is that.
Yeah.
You don't hear about only on Sports Center, right?
Yeah.
I would draft guys from teams who are not major market teams, because if you know what their production is, it works.
Right. Right.
You know? You're not watching most of these games anyway.
So that's true. You can't. So unfortunately. so a strong start on the draft and then patience for the long haul.
Absolutely.
Which totally mirrors what a real world GM / front office staff would be doing.
Yes.
Right. Like even probably for the last 6 months or 5 months, I can't count a lot of front offices or staff have been working on the draft for next year.
And I also go for a lot of position versatility, right? Like, so I'll draft the guys who will play, what's best is if a guy can play a corner infield position and a middle infield position.
Okay.
Because that means you can put a guy all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
This is why Brandon Lau is valuable, right? He plays first, he's eligible first, second, and the outfield, And it's why, like, Alex Bregman is valuable, because Bregman plays at third base and shortstop.
Okay, so Brandon Lau had 6 RBI by the end of the 3rd inning yesterday.
Did, and I didn't take, I was unable to take advantage of any of that. Thankfully, it's not going to hurt me.
Okay.
Because I'm already ahead in the categories that Brandon Lau helps me.
Oh, okay. I almost texted you about that too. Like, dude, you still have Brandon Lau on your team? Because that was amazing.
Percentages, and Brandon Lau was on my bench because he's been active every other game, and also kind of spotty on how effective he's been, right? And I think it's what his manager said is his legs are killing him, right?
Oh.
So like yesterday, Brandon Lau was on my bench, but it's okay. But it would have been nice if he was there for the 3 home runs and 7 RBIs again.
Yes.
But he's not had a day like that all season, honestly.
Very few people do.
So I wasn't expecting. Like, it'd be different, like if it's someone like Jose Abreu, who could absolutely do 3 home runs and 7 RBI in a game. So Jose Abreu is almost never coming out of my lineup unless he's just not playing.
Yeah, he could do that. But it's really special that Brandon Lau did it in his first 2 at bats.
Yes, he really did.
That was just really special.
Yeah, he needed a reason for his manager to sit him down.
Yeah.
Rest his aching legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think about like, I know that you are Terry Gant, but and your secret identity is, well, I never know how this works. Are you Duck Midnight and your secret identity is Terry Gant, or are you Terry Gant and your secret identity is Duck Midnight?
You had it right the first time.
I did.
Yeah, thanks to years of therapy.
So what did I say first? Oh boy. Yeah, you're challenging my brain now. All right. So your secret identity, you are Doc Midnight, and your secret identity is Terry Gant.
No, it's the opposite.
Okay, the opposite. Okay, so you are Terry Gant. You can tell I have no secret identity, so I don't know how to manage this. Okay, so you are Terry Gant, and your secret identity is Doc Midnight. So you have an alternate universe that you can slide in and out of, where you are Terry Migant, and your secret identity is Doc Midnight. And and that is how we honor your Scottish heritage.
Okay.
And particularly since it's a black kilt, I think that it fits really well with Doc Midnight. So
Yes.
you're right. Yeah, it's just gonna like kind of smooth out your invisibility, and you'll have to leave the socks at home though. You have to leave the socks at home. So
Because you're colorful and bright.
black compression pants, black Doc Martens. They have to be black socks if you want to blend in with the dark walls of
Well,
Gotham.
Cases where I'm wearing the Doc Martens and the compression pants go over the socks.
Oh, okay. So then you can have, so your secret identity can have secretive socks.
Yes.
Then another secret identity for the secret identity really likes the secret socks. All right. We're writing a comic book now.
This is perfect for Chicago winter.
For a Chicago winter. The Chicago winter and the Terry McGants of Chicago arise. Okay. Well, what do you think? Should we go watch baseball?
Go watch baseball.
Are you going to watch a game today?
More than likely.
What are you going to watch?
Whatever the hell comes on in this market.
All righty then. I've still got my TV account, and I will be watching the Mariners.
Lisa just pointed out at the end of this Bears game.
What's that?
There's 11 minutes left in the Bears game. So at the end of the Bears game, I'll find it.
Oh, you find out what they put on. They're going to put on the White Sox, aren't they? I mean, surely they're going to put on the White Sox.
3 channels of baseball.
Yeah.
Back and forth. The other games is what I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. All right, because you've got TBS and FS1 and ESPN, and ESPN's probably got football. So, right. So, well, text me and tell me, because I'm going to watch the Mariners.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, Mariners.
Okay. Well, Legion of Fan, thanks for listening. Are we going to be back next week?
We have 2 weeks.
We have 2 weeks. Okay, we're going to be back in 2 weeks to talk about what the hell happened. In the meantime, turn into the love. Please.
Turn into the love, everybody.
Turn into the love. Bye, Terry. Bye.
This is bye.